Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome, and thank you for joining me at this Tech Takeoff session. Click less, manage more. Simplify app deployments with Intune. My name is Nicole Zhao. I'm a product manager working on the Windows app team. And today, I'll walk you through how Enterprise App Management, or EAM, simplifies the app lifecycle, how it works behind the scenes, and what new things you can do with it. So we'll start with a quick overview of EAM, zoom into how apps are delivered and kept secure, with the meat of this presentation being a review of the architecture of EAM and how data flows through the pipeline. Then I'll show you two short demos, creating an EAM app and upgrading apps using guided upgrade supersedence. So let's get started on what is Enterprise App Management. Instead of doing the traditional app lifecycle work, including finding installers, validating sources, figuring out install and uninstall commands, and doing the packaging, EAM takes care of that for you. So here's the mental model. EAM is an enterprise app catalog plus a set of lifecycle workflows that live directly inside the Intune Admin Center. Catalog apps come with pre-filled install and uninstall commands, detection rules, requirements, and restart behavior. So you're not rebuilding the same scaffolding every time. And on top of that, EAM adds operational workflows like surfacing updates and guiding you through upgrades using familiar Intune patterns. When new versions are released, they're automatically added to the catalog, and we are continuously working on making the process of keeping apps up to date less and less manual. Before we dive into EAM, I want to quickly talk about a common question I get, which is, what app type should I use? EAM, Microsoft Store, or Winget? You can think of Enterprise App Management as the enterprise lifecycle layer. It's purposely selected, curated Win32 apps where consistency, version control, and operational predictability matter. EAM will allow you to manage new enterprise-ready apps to thousands of devices and integrates deeply with Win32 semantics, detection rules, reporting, and autopilot scenarios. Microsoft Store apps, on the other hand, include modern store integrations in Intune and optimized for simplicity and end-user experience. The trade-off, though, is reduced lifecycle control because you're trusting the store's update cadence rather than managing it on your own. Winget is best thought of as a package delivery mechanism, not a full lifecycle management system. It's lightweight and flexible and works well for smaller tools or scenarios where manual control and enterprise reporting aren't primary requirements. Because Winget packages can come from different sources with varying levels of normalization, it's not optimized for deep enterprise governance. So the key takeaway here is, if you need enterprise-grade lifecycle control, use EAM. If you want simple, user-friendly app delivery, use the store. And if you need fast, lightweight installs, Winget might be sufficient. But it's important to keep in mind that most mature environments use all three. So let's go into our first demo, where I'll walk you through creating a new enterprise app catalog app while demonstrating the new scripting feature we've recently added. So starting from the Intune Admin Center, we can start by creating an app. Going into the All Apps blade, we can click Create to add a new app, and in the app type, select Enterprise App Catalog App. You can browse the catalog here for the app and configuration that you want. So for this example, I'll use Notepad++. Once I select the app that I want, I can choose a configuration, which can include architecture or version, or both. Once I selected my app, I can see that it pre-populates the app information, and on the next blade, we see that it populates our command lines as well for install and uninstall. So what's new here is Script Installer, which is now generally available. So instead of only using command line installs, you can now use PowerShell scripts to control the install and uninstall behavior. So we'll do that here. When I select Custom Script, I'll be prompted to add a script for my install or uninstall. I select a file here for Notepad Installer. And for Notepad++, the script that I've added will run a pre-install check to see if a process we've defined as notepad.exe is running and exit if it is. And we'll also create a registry key to write an installation marker at a specific path. You can see here. So script installer will give you precise control over install behavior and metadata at deployment time and allow you to perform custom pre-checks, conditional logic, and post-install signals, and all that without breaking the standardized Microsoft-maintained app lifecycle. So now that I've added a PowerShell script as my installer type, I can continue through the rest of the steps, which you'll see is very similar to Win32 app flow. And in the end, create an assignment. For this, I will just add all devices, then review and create. And it's as simple as that. Now that we've looked at how to create EAM apps, let's zoom in behind the scenes and see how it works. At a high level, enterprise app management is built as an extension of the existing Win32 app architecture, not a parallel system. So from the admin perspective, everything starts in the Intune portal, but behind the scenes, there's a clear separation between the control plane and the data plane's responsibilities. On the control plane side, Intune consumes catalog metadata that describes each app version, including install commands, uninstall commands, detection logic, requirements, and supported configurations. This metadata is validated and normalized before it ever shows up on your tenant, which is why catalog apps behave consistently across tenants. On the data plane side, once an app is assigned, it flows through the same Win32 app delivery and enforcement pipeline you already rely on today. Devices don't know that they're installing an EAM app. They're simply enforcing a Win32 app with well-defined intent. That architectural choice is what allows EAM apps to work with ESP, reporting, retry logic, and the Intune management extension without introducing a new agent or runtime. Let's get into the meat of this presentation and see how data flows through the EAM pipeline. So starting from content ingestion, Microsoft receives a catalog feed that includes app metadata, install and uninstall commands, and download URL links. We take the JSON and flatten and transform it and add our own identifiers at this point. After the data lands in our database, we apply eligibility and filtering gates, creating allow and deny lists. We then go ahead and download the content for the app in the allow list from the internet. And at this point, we also process metadata changes for new versions of apps, which means the data that we're pulling in is a combination of new apps and updates to existing apps. Once content ingestion is complete, the app content is submitted for security and functional validation. The app validation service is queue-driven and composed of static malware scanning and dynamic analysis or detonation. So what does that mean? Static malware detection is a mechanism that scans for malicious content and assigns it a virus total score. If an app receives a non-zero virus total score, it's blocked from proceeding further in the pipeline. The dynamic analysis happens in parallel and goes through the process of initiating a VM detonation chamber, which essentially goes through the process of installing and uninstalling the app on a virtual machine, and then produces install results, logs, and artifacts after detonation. For apps that fail automatic validation, we will have to go through and manually validate them. So a bit more on the differences here between static and dynamic validation. Static scanning is about establishing baseline trust before deploying the app, and it focuses on what the app is, not how it behaves at runtime. At this stage, EAM evaluates the installer and related artifacts to ensure they meet baseline security and integrity expectations before the app is made available in the catalog. This includes validating that binaries are intact, originating from trusted sources, and do not show known indicators of malware or tampering. From a customer perspective, the key outcome of static scanning is risk reduction upfront. Apps that fail these checks are excluded early, which helps prevent known bad or suspicious content from ever entering your environment. Static analysis is especially important for catching issues that don't require execution, such as embedded malicious payloads, corrupted binaries, or known signatures associated with unsafe software. Dynamic scanning, on the other hand, is more about validating behavior, not just files. Dynamic scanning complements static checks by focusing on how an app behaves when executed. Instead of just inspecting files, EAM evaluates runtime characteristics to detect behavior that could indicate elevated risk, such as unexpected system changes, unsafe persistence mechanisms, or activity inconsistent with enterprise deployment expectations. This layer exists because modern threats don't always appear as malicious as the rest. Some issues only surface when an installer runs or when an app interacts with the system. Dynamic evaluation helps ensure that apps behave predictably and in an enterprise-appropriate way, reducing the chance that seemingly clean installer introduces operational or security surprises once deployed broadly. Both are required for layered security at enterprise scale, where static scanning provides speed and broad coverage, while dynamic scanning provides depth and behavioral assurance. And together, they allow EAM to strike a balance between catalog breadth and security by supporting a wide range of commonly used enterprise apps while maintaining a high bar for trust. If both validations paths succeed, going back to our diagram, then the app content is placed into a verified storage path and made available to the catalog distribution layer. And after passing through various distribution rings, it's exposed to the front-end catalog. Now that an app has been published to the catalog, we need to continue to keep it secure and up to date. The update check happens upstream, where we receive metadata for a new version released. And once that new metadata is received, we process it the exact same way as initial ingestion. In addition to the initial ingestion, we have ongoing efforts to maintain the safety of apps in the catalog by periodically scanning apps already there. If a version of an app that was once secure is found to no longer pass our malware scans later, it's flagged and then later removed from the catalog. That's the high-level architecture of how we add and update apps to the enterprise app catalog. But I want to pause here to mention a few things. The first being that although we pass all of our apps through functional and security validation, it's still important to do your own testing since every organization has their own requirements. And the second being that keeping apps up to date is very important to us. Once we receive a new app update, we target having that app available in the catalog within 24 hours. Approximately 80 to 90% of our apps make that timeline. And the reason that some don't is because if it doesn't pass the automatic detonation or validation, it requires manual validation, which may take longer. Speaking of keeping apps up to date, there's currently 2 ways of updating EAM apps, which I'll walk you through. So think of EAM upgrades as a maturity curve. At the start, you're doing manual supersedence where every update is a project and version chains grow over time. Guided upgrade supersedence turns that into a guided workflow. We show you what's outdated and pre-fill the update creation so you can spend time on rollout management, not wiring. But we continue to hear your feedback, and we're working on ways to make keeping apps up to date even easier. So keep an eye out on upcoming Intune news. The next demo I'll take you through is the process of guided upgrade supersedence. So starting again from the Intune admin portal, in the app section, we can go to the monitor blade on the side, and you'll see here there is a new report called Enterprise App Catalog Apps with Updates. So start by clicking into this report, and it will show you all the apps you've deployed that have apps updates made available, making it so that you don't have to go searching for them. So let's click into one of these apps, and you'll see there is an update button in the top left corner, which allows you to easily in one click supersede the existing app with the update that's available. The information here is pre-filled. Same with the program tab, as well as the supersedence relationship. And because the supersedence relationship is defined, you can focus on assigning this to the rings that you want, rolling it out in phases, starting small before expanding, whatever rollout that you want. And once that's done, you can review and create this app, and it will supersede the existing app that you already have. It's important to keep in mind that supersedence doesn't mean automatic tenant-wide upgrade. To wrap up here, there are 3 takeaways I want you to walk away with. One is that EAM reduces packaging tax by giving you pre-packaged apps with pre-filled install details, detection rules, requirements, and restart behavior. So you spend less time building the same scaffolding repeatedly. Two is that it makes patching more predictable with guided update flows and documented expectations for update availability, which in most cases fall within 24 hours, and if it requires manual validation, will fall within 7 days. And three is that it helps reduce the risk of help desk incidents by giving you clearer visibility into app versions and update readiness. If you want to go deeper after this session, the Microsoft Learn EAM overview and our Tech Takeoff session from last year, where we cover using Graph to manage EAM apps, are both great starting points. And don't forget, we'll soon be adding EAM into the licensing you probably already own. You can read about the inclusion of the entire Intune suite into the Microsoft 365 plans in the link here shown. Also, if you have any feedback, please drop a note for me in the feedback portal, which is aka.ms/Intune feedback. Thank you for tuning in. It was a pleasure being here today, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of Take Takeoff.